So in this video today, guys, we're going to learn how to apply all of the properties we've learned, okay? So by the end of the lesson, we're going to be able to answer this question: how do we use the knowledge that we have learned in this unit to solve for unknown angles, okay? So the first example is find the measure of each of the angle, or of each angle, and of, I guess, J. So we're going to find them all, okay? So you should remember that the exterior angle out here, this angle, whoops, let me see if I can get this to actually right. This angle right here is equal to the sum of these two angles. So we're going to add those two together and set them equal to that 10x minus 20. So that's going to be 5x minus 3 is added together with 4x minus 2 and set that equal to our 10x minus 20, okay? So 5x plus 4x is 9x. Negative 3 plus negative 2 is negative 5, which is combined like terms, right? That's all we did on the left, okay? So now we're going to simplify. So I'm going to subtract 9x from both sides, subtract 9x. So now all the 9x's are gone from there, and we're just left with x there. And I'm going to add 20 to both sides here. Remember, our goal when we're doing this, y'all, is to make sure that all the variables get on one side and all the constants get on the other. So now that is our x value. What we must do now is plug this back in to see what the measure of all of these angles are, okay? So let's start up here. 15 times 5 would be 75, minus 3 is 72. So that's that angle right there, okay? Then we've got 4 times 15, that is 60, minus 2, that would be 58 degrees, okay? Now, when we add those two together, 72 plus 58, we should get what that exterior angle is, right? So we should get, I think that's what, 130, right? If we were to add these two together, we get 130. So that is what we should be getting for that exterior angle. So now if we do 10 times 15, that's 150 minus 20. Yep, that's 130, all right. Okay, now the question is, what is angle J? So that's this angle right here, right? So remember, those two angles added together equal 180, right? So we're going to take 180 and we're going to subtract from it the 130. So angle J is going to be 50 degrees, right? Because that's what we get when we subtract them, okay? So that's all of them. All right, so let's go ahead and try this one. And I'm going to point out a couple things to you. Notice that we have a right angle up here, so that can enable us to solve for C here, right? And then we have a linear pair here, which would allow us to solve for that, which would then allow us to solve for D, okay? So pause the video, come back to me when you guys are done with this. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for C, okay? And the reason I'm going to do that is because I notice that this is a 90-degree angle up here, so we know this is 90. That means the other two angles have to add up to be 90. So it's going to be 90 minus 64. That's going to equal the measure of angle C, isn't it? So 90 minus 64 is 26, right? So 26 degrees is equal to the measure of angle C, okay? So if we say this is 26 degrees, we're good to go there, right? Then notice down here, too, we have a linear pair. Notice this right here, we have a linear pair. Okay, so let's find the other side of that angle. So wouldn't we do 180 minus 95? And that's going to be 85 degrees, isn't it? Okay, you see that? All right, now we have the triangle sum theorem up here, don't we? Okay, so everybody see this triangle right here? So those three angles added together have to equal 180, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to add the 85 plus the 64. And that gives us 149. And then what are we going to do with that 149? We're going to subtract it from 180, aren't we? And that's going to give us that angle D up there. So 180 minus 149 is 31, right? So this angle up here is 31 degrees. That's our D, okay? So C, so the measure of angle D was 31 degrees. So our next one, example 2, says find the measure of each of the angles. So we're going to find angle A here, okay? So what I need you to notice is that we have some parallel lines here. You see these parallel lines right here? And then we have a transversal that cuts those parallel lines. You see it? Okay, so if we have a transversal that cuts those parallel lines, then hopefully what you can see is that this angle right here is going to be congruent with this angle. Can everybody see that? So can't we solve for that top left angle with the triangle sum theorem? Yes, we can. So we can add these two together. That would be 95 plus 39. And when we do that, that gives us 134. Then we can subtract 134 from 180, right? So when we do that, we get 180 minus 134 is 46 degrees. So if this angle right here is 46 degrees, then what is this one up here? It's also 46 degrees, right? And that's because those are corresponding angles, okay? They're on the right of the parallel lines, and they're below the transversal, okay? So, all right, now, again, we could use the triangle sum theorem, right? So knowing that this is 90 degrees, what do these two angles have to add up to be? You got it, 90. So what we're going to do is 90 minus our 46, and that's going to give us 44 degrees, okay? So this angle down here, A, so the measure of angle A is equal to 44 degrees. Okay, so on this next one, I want you to notice, and on y'all's paper, it's really hard to see that this angle here and this angle here are congruent, okay? So you want to use that information then to be able to answer the question that's being asked, which is what's the measure of MJK? So MJ is up there and K is right there. So we're actually talking about that angle right there, okay? So notice that this triangle on the right over here has 2 of 3 angles, right? That one right there. So couldn't we actually use the triangle sum theorem to find that third angle? So pause the video and go ahead and do that, okay? Come back to me when you're done. 88 plus 48 is equal to 136. And then what are we going to do with the triangle sum theorem? We're going to subtract that from 180, right? 136, which is equal to 44 degrees, okay? So now we know this up here is 44 degrees, and if that's 44 degrees, that also is 44 degrees. Everybody see that? So now we're just going to add the 104 plus the 44, and that's going to give me 148 degrees. And again, we're going to subtract that from 180. So 180 minus 148 is going to be equal to 32 degrees. So the angle in question right here is actually 32 degrees. Okay, so the measure of angle MJK is equal to 32 degrees. All right, this next one says find the value of D and X, okay? So here again, notice we got a pair of parallel lines right there and right there, and we have a transversal right there, okay? So you should be able to see that we have some corresponding angles, right? So we have this one and that one. So aren't both of these 113 degrees? So now, what would you say if we were to try to find this angle right here? What would we do? 180 minus 113, and that equals 67 degrees, right? So now if we know this equals 67 degrees, can't we solve for x? We can. So we're going to say 2x minus 5 equals 67. Add 5 to both sides, so 2x equals 72. Divide both sides by 2. So x equals 36. Now we can find those two angles, right? So what we want to do now for this one right here is we want to go 2 times 36, that's 72, minus 5 would be, what did I get? Let me see, 67, okay? So, and that's what we thought it was, right? Just double checking, okay? So now we're going to do for this angle right here. You guys were all saying, I already have that. You're right. This is going to be 2 times 36. So that means this one's 72 degrees, okay? So now we have 67 degrees there and 72 degrees in the bottom right. So what would we do to find D? Wouldn't we add 67 plus 72? And that's 139, okay? And what would we do with that 139? If we're trying to find the third angle up here, D, this one up here, this is the one we're trying to find, right? So we're going to go 180 minus 139, and that's going to give me 41 degrees, right? So this angle right here is 41 degrees. Now you can check this by adding all three of these together. 41 plus 67 plus 72. When you add all those together, guess what you get? 180 degrees. And that's what you should get. So here, the measure of angle D was equal to 41 degrees. And X, that's what it asked us for, it was 36, okay? All right. You try 3, we're going to have to draw this one. Okay, so it says two adjacent. That means they're next to each other. Adjacent means next to. So two angles that are next to each other. Okay. Form a complementary relationship. What does complementary mean? 90 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to draw a right angle here. And then it says I got two angles next to each other. So I'm just going to draw me a line. Okay, because I don't know what the measure is. It says one angle is 12 more. That means plus 12. Then twice the other angle. So that means 2 times whatever that is. So notice that I said 2x because I don't know what the measure of the other angle is. So I'm going to say this one is x, and then this other one is going to be our 2x plus 12. Now we have this right angle symbol here. See that? So that means when these two angles are added together, they're going to equal 90 degrees, right? So we're going to go 2x plus 12 plus x equals 90. So what is 2x plus x? That's 3x, right? Plus 12 equals 90. We're going to subtract 12 from both sides. So that's going to give us 3x equals 78. And then we're going to divide both sides by 3. So x is equal to 26. So now we're going to plug that 26 back up in there, and we're going to find both the angles because it tells us to solve for each unknown angle measure. So we know this one's 26 degrees, right? Because that was our value of x, 26. Okay, then up here, we're going to actually do 2 times 26. That's 52. Plus another 12. That would be 64 degrees. Now, does 64 plus 26 equal 90? It does indeed, and it should. Otherwise, we've made an error somewhere, okay? All right, now, this last one, you try, says that H is in the interior of angle IGF. And if it says something's inside something else, you have to draw that something first. You have to draw the angle first. Then label the angles, label all the measures, and then see if you guys can solve this, and then come back to me when you're done. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to draw this angle IGF. Okay, there's some dots on here. Okay. And then I'm going to put this point H somewhere in here. I don't know where it is. I'm just going to draw it, put it somewhere in there just for the sake of drawing it. Then it tells me that IGH, that's my top angle, is 2x plus 10. It tells me the FGH, which is the bottom angle, is 6x minus 6. And then it tells me the whole angle IGF is 60. So I'm going to draw across here because those two angles added together are going to have to equal 60 degrees. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to add those two angles together, 2x plus 10 plus 6x minus 6, and that's going to be equal to 60. So 2x plus 6x is 8x. 10 minus 6 is 4. So we're going to subtract that 4 from both sides. So 8x is equal to 56. And then we're going to divide both sides by 8. So x is equal to 7. So now it's asking us to find the measure of these angles. So this is going to be equal to 2 times 7, which is 14, plus 10, which means this angle would be 34 degrees, okay? Then down here, we're going to do 6 times 7, that's 42, minus 6. So that means this one is actually equal to 36 degrees, okay? Well, wait. I did that top one wrong, y'all. So this was 24 degrees. And you know what? That's a great thing to notice, y'all, by the way. This was 14 plus 10, which is 24 degrees, okay? I figured that out because the bottom one, when I was going to add it together with the top one, was not going to equal 60. So that was probably a good error for me to make. So this is going to be 42 minus 6, which is 36 degrees, okay? Now, 36 plus 24 is 60, whereas 34 plus 36 would have been 70, okay? So, good check, all right? So again, add those together, make sure they equal 60. That's a good self-check.